Hello, hello, hello again. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris. Today we're going to talk about something very important, job interviews. Have you ever gone to a job interview? Have you ever had to speak in English in a job interview? Today we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, I want to know what comes to your mind when you think about job interviews. Do you think about the person who's going to interview you, how you have to behave? Do you think about your resume, what you wrote there, what you have to write it? Do you feel, I don't know, are you afraid you won't know how to react or that the person is going to be mean? Mean, do you understand mean? Bad to you? Or do you think about the questions they might ask you? There are different kinds of questions they might ask you. Do you think about all of them before you go to a job interview? Do you think about them while it's happening and you're just spontaneous? How do you react when you have a job interview? I'm going to divide this video in two parts. Part one, we'll talk about information questions, so very basic questions they usually ask. In part two, we'll talk about the tricky questions, the most difficult ones to answer. So the part one, it's for any level, even basic levels. You can start learning to understand what the questions are and how to answer them. So let's start with part one with information questions. Information questions usually start with when, how long, why, where. What questions come to your mind with these words, starting with these words? Think of some. Right here, also on the comments, if you can think of some questions with these words. The first one we'll talk about is when. So one of the questions they might ask you with when is, when did you graduate? I graduated in 2010. So you will say the month and year, or the month or the year. It depends how far ago it was. When did you graduate? Answer here on the comments. When did you graduate? Start practicing. So you can answer with the year, the month, last year, 5 years ago. These are some options of answers. Another kind of question you can ask is with how long. One common question is, how long did you work for ABC company? So in an interview, you mention the company you worked for. So how long did you work for ABC company, for this company? There is a difference between this question and the second one here. How long have you worked for the ABC company? Do you know the difference? How are they similar? How they are different? So let's talk about the first one. How long did you work for ABC company? You don't work at this company anymore. So on your resume, you wrote from 1999 until 2010. So you know it's over. You don't work there anymore. That's why they would ask, how long did you work for ABC company? And the answer would be, I worked for ABC company for 3 years. I worked for ABC company since 2017 until a certain period. So 4 is when you're talking about the duration, so 3 years, and since a point in time, 2017, for example. Now, since is more common with this question. How long have you worked for ABC company? So have you worked you use because you still work there. You know when you have a job, but you're already looking for another one, or just to be safe, or because you're tired of your work, or because you want to grow, you want something different, or it's just an opportunity and you tried to go to try an interview and see what happens. right? So you're still working at this place, you have a job, you work at this company, and they know it, so they ask you, how long have you worked for ABC company? The answer is, I have worked for ABC company for 5 years, or I have worked for ABC company since 2015. The difference again, for 5 years, for 2 months, for 3 hours, it's a period, it's a duration, right? Since 2015, you started in 2015, and you're talking about the point when it started. That was 2015. Another kind of question is when you start with why. Why would you like to work here? That's a very common question. There is another question that's very common, which is why did you leave your job? But we'll talk about this one on part 2. Now, why would you like to work here? Possible answers. The first thing is it will start with because. Every time a person asks you why, the answer will be because. Okay, so repeat. Because, not because, nothing like that. Because, no. Because. Repeat. Because. Okay. Now, some possibilities. Because it's a nice place to work at. Because I see opportunity to grow, new positions. Because I've always dreamed about working here. Maybe you want to work for Apple. And you've always thought one day I will work for Apple. And this is your chance. You are on an interview to work at Apple. So I've always dreamed about working here because I believe in its products and services. For this one, be ready to give more explanation, but that's a very good answer as well. And we also have questions with where. Where do you live? They want to know if you live close to work, far from work, if it's easy for you to get there. So where do you live? The answer, I live near here, so it's close to work. I live in Santana, in Vila Mariana, in Paraíso. You can mention neighborhood where you live. And another question with where, another possibility is, where do you work now? So I work at Pineapple. So here you'd say the name of the company. Okay? Another one with where. Where have you worked? In this case, you will mention all the companies you worked at since you started working, since the first time you worked until today. Where have you worked in this period? So I have worked at Pineapple, ABM, Socks. You mentioned the names of the company. So this one is broader. Does any other question come to mind? Any other thing you'd like to know how to ask in English or how to respond in English? How about your specific cases? How was your last job interview? Tell me more about that. Everything that comes to mind. Any questions, write on the comments. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell so you can receive the notifications that we have new videos. Like and share for those you think might enjoy the video. And I hope to see you soon. See you next Saturday. Thank you. Bye-bye.